Welcome to the Quick and Response Podcast.
All right.
Well, it's better than nothing.
I mean, it seems like it'll work, probably.
It looked like there was a delay, but maybe that was just...
There's always a delay.
Hands.
It's internet stuff, yeah.
Okay.
So, I'll start this off. Sorry I'm late. So, years ago, actually for the last few years, I would say, I've been in kind of a funk myself, like a depression state. And I had to renew my license years ago. And I just said, fuck it, why? And I didn't. So I had to go and do a road test again because I let it lapse to like over a year or 2 years or whatever. So that's what I was doing. I did a road test. Do you think you could pass?
Rain?
Yeah. Do you think you could?
Oh, no.
Well, I had to book it in advance because, you know, COVID.
How do you know it's going to happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you could pass a road test right now if you had to do one?
For some reason, I still have a GDL and I just don't care. Like, to be clear, like, so I have like a...
So technically you do have to do a road test again to get the...
To get the real deal so I can drive at 4 in the morning with more than 3 passengers or whatever. Like, there's little things
and
I'm
like
not supposed
up
to be
0.5 or 0.5% alcohol if you wanted to.
There's less tolerance than...
It's zero tolerance, yeah. Complete zero.
Yeah. Which is fine because I'm not doing that anyway. But the only thing that was nagging me forever was just like parallel parking. I was just like, I think I just whiff on it now because I don't care to do it. Like, it's just one of those like skills you just don't practice very much at all.
So today was the first time I parallel parked in over 10 years.
Okay.
Because the last
time
I
pull it
did,
off?
Yeah, it went totally fine.
Yeah.
He marked me. So the guy that was doing the test, real fucking piece of shit, starts off with the conversation of like, you're Canadian, why are you doing this now? Sort of thing. Like, he was an Indian guy, and there was very much the thing of, you're white, you should have this done already. I deal with foreigners. And he was just kind of a grumpy piece of shit the whole time.
Yeah.
And like, I knew he was going to mark me down on some stuff. And the thing he marked me down on was like, not shoulder checking properly, even though I was like, so I wasn't shoulder checking. He's like, you were. It just wasn't right. It's like, fuck you. What a piece of shit.
Is there feedback on that?
Nope, he didn't give me any.
I always worry that I like over shoulder check. Like, I really spin my head around. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's like, I don't know. Maybe there's like a moped back there. I don't know. I got to make sure. Like, that's another thing I'm like wary about.
Sure.
Is overdoing it because I'm not looking forward for like a couple seconds.
Sure.
but yeah, it's been a while since I've thought about really practicing driving, but I haven't had any accidents. Car wise though, we're on the verge of like having to get a new car.
Well, that's the thing.
Dying.
Is that I've actually had a car for years. Actually, it's the one. I don't know if you were with me when we drove to PAX. It's that car.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
That Tribute. Yeah. I've had a vehicle. It's under my name and the insurances as well, but I've just like put Erin on it as like a secondary driver, and she's been using it for years.
Okay.
And because like I've been busing pretty much everywhere. If we need to go somewhere, we're usually together, so she just drives. Like, it hasn't actually been a problem until like this week. I'm gonna be going back to work here, like with you guys
at the same company as me. Yeah.
Back to like the old company or whatever. And I was just
I don't know what the transit situation is for that. Like, I don't think it's awesome.
I do because that's when I needed to renew my license and I put it off. Was at my tail end of being there. And I remember the last like 6 months or so busing, and it is an hour and a half of bus and then a 40-minute walk from the closest stop.
Oh, weird.
So
that's not very efficient.
So I was just like, well, I guess I'm driving again. Let's go get my license renewed. So I did that today. That was where I was.
Okay. Or carpooling, dude. But again, my car is not safe right now. I need to get a new one. Like, you can just like hear the brakes struggling, and you're like, yeah, this isn't good.
We're also going to be in the market for a second car now because, like, I'm going to be kind of taking mine back. So
just for like chippy auto related stuff, like I was a bit miffed at my recent, like I had to switch to summer tires because like it's over. Like I don't think it's snowing anymore. It's raining. Like it's time to switch. Kind of a dumb time to do it, like right before you get rid of a car. Like who knows if it's going to be a month or a week or whatever. But I don't need these tires anymore because I'm getting rid of this car. Yeah. And I don't want to enter into the murky, like, selling secondhand tires world. So I'm just like, just get rid of them. Like, I don't want them. And it's like, well, but they're still pretty good. It's like, okay, do you want to buy them? Like, I don't. They're worthless to me. They're rubber millstones around my neck right now. Don't need them. Like, I just felt kind of like a little judged by it. It's like, this is a poor financial decision you're making, says guy at the mechanic. And it's like, I don't care though. It's annoying to me. Like, please just don't judge me and just throw them in the garbage.
What is it
like,
with people that work in like the auto industry in general and just being judgy about stuff? It's like, no, I'm paying you. Fucking do your job, you stupid sack of shit. Like, fuck.
Well, like the last time I was there, I was like getting this old car appraised for like, how much is it going to cost to fix it? And it became like, too much to make any sense. You should probably get a new car. Oh, okay. So then this time it's like, well, I'm getting a new car anyway, so I'm getting rid of this stuff because I'm getting a new car. Oh, a new car? Hey, yeah, it's kind of a weird time to get a new car. I mean, there's no microchips. Okay, well, that's terrible, but what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't solve that global crisis with the microchips, so I'm still going to buy a new car.
That's the reason why I can't get a PlayStation 5.
There's just not enough microchips.
Even though I've kind of hate Sony these days, like I just kind of hate them as a company, I still want one of those so I can play the few games that I want on it because they won't release them on PC.
I'm waiting for the Slim. Like I think I've said, I can't deal with how big that thing is. It's like offensive how big they made it.
I might be in the same boat just because that might be when they're available.
Like if it can't fit on a standard IKEA shelf thing, what are you doing? Like you space this for up. Like weird rich people. Yeah.
You know what else?
It's actually offensive.
You know what else can't
person.
Fit on one of those shelves is my PC, and my PC is much more powerful than your PS5 even. So
right, like the PC gets a special little place that gets to sit next to the thing.
Yeah,
and it's its own tower. But I have room for one of those, and this thing isn't the thing.
Right.
So yeah. I don't know. PlayStation 5. Returnal though, dude. It's something shooting. I don't know. It's the one with the reviews.
I believe that there's parts of that game that are awesome. I don't believe it's the loop of doing a roguelite and just shooting stuff forever before you get more story. I don't believe that's the fun part.
Yeah.
To me.
I like some sci-fi twinge, I guess, but yeah. But for me, I can just keep playing ReCore to get some sci-fi action.
Yeah, and that was like what, $5?
Oh, maybe more. I bought it a while ago, but it was just sitting around. Like not expensive, 20 at most. Yeah. But hey, we'll get more details into that in this week's episode of Pixel Response number 157.
Yeah.
I'm calling it the revival on my notes here, but it's just the same show.
Yeah. Because the revival was technically like 4 years ago or whenever we came back. The first time.
Sure, but it's revived again.
Yeah,
it's like Lazarus or Jesus, I guess. But more so Lazarus.
That guy. Yeah.
Us being the miracle workers that brought back.
Oh,
I don't know.
Speaking of miracles, I finally booked my first vaccine.
Awesome.
Because everybody there's this weird gap now that I think exists. It's like everybody
between 12-year-olds and 0.
No, everybody under the age of 40 can go. It's like
okay.
But then before it was like anybody that was like 50 or higher. So is there just like a group of people and that
40-year-olds are just lost? But they're so jaded and weird anyway. They don't even want it. Yeah. Like the young people know that it makes sense to get it. The old people are
because
done.
They're gonna die. Yeah.
No, they just don't care. Like in my experience with like grandparents and stuff, they're just like, I don't know, I don't trust it because the man on the TV said it was scary. And it's like, great.
Like which man?
That's the guy to listen to. Like some televangelist or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Was just on the airwaves causing problems.
Yeah.
They should arrest all of them.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. Thanks for like. Where's the CRTC on that? Of just like this is trash broadcasts from America. We don't need these. Just can't even put this on the air. This is garbage content. Like, just put something else. Like, get our own Canadian crazies that are saying nonsense. At least then it would be fun and local flavor, you know? Like, they're slipping in local goof stuff instead of just imported crazy. I don't need it. Yeah. But whatever. But yeah, ReCore, I honestly, it's kind of been like downgraded to a podcast game. Like, it's gotten to where there's kind of not a lot of story happening anymore, and it's just open world stuff, and you have weapons and robots, and you're jumping around. So it's still fun. It's just kind of less engaging all around than like the first hour and a half or whatever, where it's like introducing everything. But that's still cool. I'm still game for a game like that.
ReCore.
I almost like, I think it's a testament to how much I'm enjoying the basic mechanics and stuff that like I had a horrible rage quit worthy moment that almost happened where like my controller died like 90% through a boss fight, and the game did nothing to acknowledge that. It didn't pause. It didn't do anything. It's just like, all right, now you're just done. And it's like, what? Like, I was ripping a battery out and cursing during a fight and getting like waxed, and then died, and then was just like, all right, I am going to keep playing, though, because this is good. But if that was No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle or something, pitch it. Done. Yeah. Never playing it again. Like, that's basically what happened with that game years ago, was just, like, failed for some stupid reason, or it crashed after a hard fight, and I had to do it again. I was like, all right, well, goodbye. Like, sorry, Suda. Shouldn't have made it crash.
Shouldn't have made it
That's
bad.
it for this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, still on board with the ReCore Definitive Edition.
Okay.
But yeah, it's gotten into a different zone.
I have a way to transition there.
Yeah.
It's a podcast game, and the podcast I know you've listened to probably the most, the main hosts are actually leaving Giant Bomb.
Yeah, I had Giant Bomb way later in my notes, but that's okay. Yeah,
we should probably talk about that stuff a little bit.
I guess so. I was going to go Concept Capcom, but don't worry about that. We'll do that later.
Yeah.
Sure. So Giant Bomb, big part. Well, okay, GameSpot, I guess originally 2004 era is when I first started like wandering into there because of GameFAQs.
Okay.
They had an association like through CNET or whatever.
Sure.
So I was doing the daily polls on GameFAQs and just kind of like, who would win, Cloud versus, I don't know, Sora? And you're just like, all right, like there was all these polls for different characters, and you're
I think
like,
they
okay,
still do those, maybe.
Probably. I stopped doing them 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's say. But through that, they would link like things, and eventually caught my eye on like I think it was Let's GameSpot. It was like a weekly wrap-up show where they'd like go over a bunch of stuff, and I like submitted like answers to trivia robot questions and won a shirt or something like early on. So it was like, this is great. You can get free stuff from the internet.
Yeah.
Like was tuning into their show.
Sure.
And then they had a live show on the spot Thursdays. So I would like ask questions there, and like Tim Schafer answered my question, and like getting excited about that, about Grim Fandango or whatever.
Yeah.
And that snowballed into their Hotspot podcast, which is hosted by Rich Gallup, which was a fun time.
That's around the era. So that's when I graduated, is when they were kind of like in their heyday. And I started getting really into writing about games on my blog. And I kind of like came into the whole like quote unquote game journalism thing through GameSpot, because it was like the only fucking game site really that was like that I had any respect for, because IGN existed, but they were
I never gravitated to them, yeah.
IGN was in a no-name thing where they had writers, but they didn't have personalities, where GameSpot always had, like...
They were sort of hidden behind this monolithic, like, IGN wrote this review kind of thing, right?
Exactly. Right.
And it's like, no, Jeff Gersman has, like, dumb... bleached hair in this video, and he's talking about Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
And that's like, the thing, is that they had video for those people, and those people were presenting their thoughts on it, whereas IGN was like a voiceover gameplay footage, usually about like a minute long, and like a written review and a score, and it was kind of like a company wrote it, rather than like
right. Whereas you'd get the video reviews just like maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
It was just
of like the editor talking
was just a big
with some
blog,
edited footage,
like essentially. Yeah.
And they would try to get creative with it. Like I remember the Greg Kasavin WarioWare review. They have him like out on the street with an umbrella and like doing random things. Yeah,
they did dumb skits and stuff. I never really cared around that era. I didn't care as much about that like I do now. That stuff is more important to me now. Back then, I just wanted to like get to the video game stuff. But it was kind of nice being able to like, I know kind of what this guy's about. So like, if I line up with them, then what they say about this game, I'll probably kind of agree. Or if I don't line up with them, I should probably check this game out. Sort of thing. Sure.
And reading through some of their old reviews lately again, it's kind of like there really was like some value to the text of the review because they're given like a 6.8 or something, but they're still saying like there's some neat mechanics in here, or like there's actually something cool going on. It's just unfortunately the frame rate or whatever is dragging it down.
Yeah.
But if you're looking back on it as just like these are all old bad looking games now, if there's a neat hook in one of them that's still weird, that's still cool.
Yes.
And like I can still find that information. So, but that's the GameSpot era. Then there was the Kane and Lynch scandal, which birthed Giant Bomb, which I was kind of on board with like the whole time of their existence.
I kind of fell off on Giant Bomb at the very beginning. Like I knew the GameSpot thing happened, and I remember hearing about it actually through Penny Arcade because they did a comic about it.
About Jeff getting like pressured by big corporate dudes or whatever,
and then getting like fired or whatever. So that's how I heard about that even happening. And then that's what sent me down the rabbit hole of looking to see what happened. And then,
like that was my Watergate, dude. I was so like, what is happening? This is crazy. And then I was like at the video store I worked at, freaking out. And it's like some video game website Nathan likes is under something, I don't know. Like my coworkers weren't sure what. It's like, no, dude, this is crazy.
Yeah,
this is crazy stuff happening right now to the video game industry. It's like, it's not. It's your favorite website though, so I get you're worked up about it.
And I remember there was like basically no information about what was happening or what happened. Everybody kind of knew, but there was no info from them. And then the next time I heard from Jeff, like online stuff, he was doing a podcast called The Arrow Pointing Down with Ryan. And I was just like, wait, he went from like having a job to just kind of talking now? Like what is
like they're just talking about like Tiger Woods energy drinks and whatever for like an hour and a half. Yeah.
And that was some of my favorite stuff. And it's when they went back to games and Giant Bomb stuff that I was like, I kind of like when you were just like doing random shit, but then it turned out Giant Bomb was random video game shit, and it turned out to be good.
There was like some years there, like I think it was up through the Whiskey Media era, where I loved how scrappy and independent they seemed.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they're just in a basement, just shooting random stuff, going off the head, like just goofing around. Like the whole energy there was really great. And then when they got back into the kind of big CBS camp, I kind of lost. I mean, there was also the death of Ryan Davis around that time.
The death of Ryan Davis is actually when I stopped listening because it kind of hurt to like not.
It hurt real bad for quite a while. Yeah. There was kind of like different waves of editors that came on, and I responded to different ones differently.
Yep.
Like I felt pretty good about the ReCore era. I will say I don't think you did. Dan Reichert.
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind him when. I just think he's an idiot, and I don't know if that's a character or him or what. And then
I think he plays it up like it's like a wrestling thing,
I don't think he does because I watched. They had like a goodbye Giant Bomb East thing, and they brought everybody back for like a 2-hour podcast sort of thing, and he's part of it.
Yeah,
and he seems like legitimately stupid. Like in a way I don't really respect. I don't hate him. I just think he's kind of
got
funny.
His biography, so maybe I'll understand more of the man after I read that.
If there's like some tidbits in there, I would love to hear them for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also Air Force Gator,
for
1 and 2.
For me, it was I really liked Austin, who came in at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't like Patrick for a while, but the thing I liked about him is that he actually brought in games that weren't just Call of Duty and Madden and like the big stuff that they like. He actually went into the
legit
stuff.
News reporting.
Well, I don't care about
his gig.
I didn't care about the news, but you're right. He was.
It was neat to see like that site get like a big scoop. Like, it actually happened a couple times where they got, like, a big story.
And he would, like, cool. Actually follow... Like, yeah, he was definitely a better reporter than, in, like, a personality, for me, anyway. And then, like, they started bringing in, like, Abby. I didn't like Abby, and I still don't at all.
It was just that 27 Game of the Year discussion was so bad for me. I really hated the negativity of that whole thing.
Well, and it's
and
also...
I felt she brought a lot of that.
She started working there when she was, like, 19. She's a fucking child. And, like, it's one of those things that it's like, oh, you haven't had a real job. This is your first real job. No wonder you're annoying. Like, that, fine. I don't blame her for it, but, like,
energy.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's her fault or, like, me for not, like... having the patience for it. It just still there.
I kind of had that with Jeff Bakalar on the Beastcast. Like, I was just like, I just don't like the vibe you bring at all. Like, I just don't like it.
He just seemed
like it's
mean. Not, like, not mean, but like he was trying to like break balls all the time, and it's fucking annoying, which is kind of why I don't like respect the whole like, oh, I'm just busting balls. It's like, yeah, but you're a piece of shit doing it.
But you could just not do that, you know? Like, maybe it comes with
and
being
like
New
a little
bit or something,
fine.
but
a little bit is fine, but like all the time it's just like, shut up, just shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, so I kind of like would orbit near there for a while, like after.
Well, Vinny's still my favorite.
Davis passed, so and after ReCore and that kind of migrated east or moved and all that, like there was kind of just a period in the last couple of years where I hadn't really been tuning in a lot. Like I'd see, like if a game was of enough interest, I would go to them still to get a look at it. But I wasn't like actively tuning into a lot of stuff. Like it was just kind of their clips and things. Like, oh, they're gonna talk about the new Hitman. Sure, I could hear what that's about, and then like watch that for half an hour. Or when like Cyberpunk was crashing and burning, like hear what their take on that is and stuff like that. But I wasn't a regular Bombcast listener for the last like 2 years, I would say. So it's weird seeing it like, oh no, it's like ending. It's like, I guess, but like. The season of glory was over for me a while ago.
Yeah.
So
it's still an end of an era, though. Like it feels like an end of an era, and like that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it's like I have some memories I wanted to like talk about, bounce around some like topics or whatever.
Favorites.
Because like and like I know you would be the person to talk to. Like I could talk to Sean about it too, but he's kind of more in the era of just like I still love Giant Bomb and I'm obsessed with him. Like okay, well. We can't have the same conversation. I need.
The site still exists, right? Like Gershman's still there. Yeah, okay. It's just changing forms again, I guess, is the thing.
My whole thing is Vinny has always been my favorite. If Vinny does like a Patreon or something, I'm 100% there to support it.
Okay.
And for like Giant Bomb, the thing that I would ever just go back to at all was anytime Jeff did like he's been doing like cleaning his garage and just doing like a single man stream of him cleaning his garage and just like talking about stuff and random shit as he's cleaning up. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I want from Giant Bomb. That is the exact thing. I don't care. Like these are all fine people, I'm sure. I don't care about Jason. I don't care about Jen. I don't care really about Alex, even though he's kind of an OG as well. Brad's I always felt was a better writer than a better good personality, so I don't care what he has to say about stuff usually. It's always been Gersman and Vinny for me.
As like the personalities that you're responding to? Yeah. Yeah. No, Jeff talking about old games is like the sweet zone.
Yeah.
Like I love the game room era quick looks. Like I'll go back to those. Yeah. Because it's just like a fast look at a bunch of old stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, him streaming at home like Kung Fu or something.
Yes. All that
is more
stuff.
Interesting than like hot takes on new games from them. I kind
of don't respect Jeff's opinion on new games for the last like 10 years. It's been pretty bad.
Like he's just out of sync with what's going on.
I think, the fact that they needed, like one of the good things I guess Abby brought in is that she got them into Sims for a while. The fact that they needed somebody to get them into the world's biggest game is fucking stupid. And
like a huge selling franchise.
And apparently they only first got into Minecraft last year, like really big, because of Ben. As like, how have you guys not talked about?
They had a little wave with it when it was ported to 360, I think. Like someone got into it for a bit there, I remember. But yeah, it's been less than thorough Minecraft. Although some of their negativity about Minecraft definitely made me feel okay just dropping Minecraft. because it was just like, yeah, it's not really a game. Okay, I'm gonna stop playing this then, and like never really looked back, because it's either like a black hole that eats all your time, or you can just run away.
No, there is a game in there where you build up to an end and you finish. There is.
Oh yeah.
But like
I got it in like 2010 or whatever, when it was like
when it wasn't a game. Yeah.
Formative stuff, and I was like, I don't understand the appeal of this at all. It looks terrible.
I still remember
Deadmau5
the way
is streaming it and he loves it.
The
but
way you
understand.
had to buy that site was it was an alpha, because it wasn't like fully released, and it was on a like shitty GeoCities site that you had to put in your credit card information.
I bought it from there, which, so I get the lifetime updates or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure
same.
I was hacked by Russians like 4 years ago, and I don't care.
Totally.
Like, it just doesn't matter. So, yeah, I'll just get it again or never again for my personal Minecrafting.
Yeah.
But, okay, so Jeff, talking about old games, were there some other Vinny highlights, like favorite Vinny era stuff?
I just think that guy's like really cool, like really nice guy. I definitely see, like, I know that there's a lot of people speculating on why they're leaving and whatever. I definitely see why Vinny is. Every time he's like talked about leaving, he gets a little choked up or whatever, but I really get the feeling that he sacrificed a lot of time with family because they were building kind of like a company, and he was like the backbone. He was the backbone production man for that for like years. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like Giant Bomb is going to go through like a phase 2 or 3 or whatever this is to kind of like try to stay relevant coming up after like COVID kind of ruined everything. And I'm getting the distinct impression that Vinny specifically can't do it anymore. Like he can't,
I can't start over again.
A ground floor
and, like,
sort of thing. Yeah.
Build a site again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I don't really. So Alex and Brad leaving seemed weird to me, but then I just assumed it was kind of like this seems like a good cutoff point if like we're gonna go into like a new phase, and they're like they have a new company kind of supporting the behind the scenes with a bunch of money or whatever. It's like this is a good time to just be like, I can't.
Red Ventures or whatever. I was trying to read what they are. They're like
just
their
a company
website could not be more boring. Yeah.
They're we
just
put
smiling people and shirts
and
slogans, and it's like, okay, what is this?
They're a business, like for sure.
Yeah.
So
little drier than the whiskey media. Which,
whiskey media
again, my
is
favorite era.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like Screened was the stupidest site, but it was so good. I wish Screened existed.
Loved it. I wish it could still exist. Yeah.
Letterboxd is kind of like the new Screened, but it's more of a social media than a site.
Yeah, you can't like edit the Sam Neill page and put pictures on it. It's just like, no, it's just the raw filmography. There's some dumb stuff on Letterboxd too. Like, it's just like, what? Why is like this featurette from like a DVD one of their works? Like, I guess I can only have ever seen 47% of Ian McKellen's films because there's nonsense on here.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But who cares? Like, I shouldn't get hung up on those numbers that a robot made.
Letterboxd has some other weird problems where there's a bunch of like big Twitter bots and like accounts now that are like worst reviews or like Letterboxd reviews or something like that, and they kind of like take funny, like quirky reviews or something from Letterboxd and showcase them. So then of course that makes it so a bunch of people are trying to get on there by like just like making stupid reviews, and it's like this is kind of against
what we're doing here. I was wondering what the robots were surfacing on the main page. It's like, okay, like this isn't an especially great review, why am I seeing this? Like, whatever. But whatever, I'm just using it to rank stuff, and I got in a big ranking hole for a while there.
Sure.
Did a couple thousand movies, and
gross.
Like, once it gets to a point where it's just like, you know what, I like barely remember this, so that can't be good, right? 2.5. Like, shrug. This is a movie that exists, I guess. So not the most useful information, but if it's faded that badly, then whatever.
If it's the hole that Screened left. Tested was also
just
there.
Movie rabid information. Yeah.
Tested was that's when I enjoyed Tested. It felt weird when it's like Adam Savage's Tested. It's like, no, you bought that and put your name. Yeah. That felt weird to me, but like I don't hate Adam Savage. I liked the Mythbusters, so like it's not egregious to me, but it's not right to me either, so that's when I fell off.
Yeah.
And also Will left, so,
to pursue, like, VR ventures of some kind.
Yeah, I don't know what he does now, so who knows.
Yeah. But, I'm trying to... I definitely liked Alex Navarro's voice in general on that site, but he was on the Beast Coast, and that kind of soured me for a while there, that show, so there's definitely a gap in my knowledge of what they were up to. But I enjoyed his takes during Game of the Year and stuff like that. And his music blogging was important stuff early on.
Well,
for some bands that I really like. So
I know he's like a drummer in a band currently. I have a feeling he'll just go to music, maybe back to PR if he needs to. Like,
sure,
Alex leaving didn't seem like oh my god, what's he gonna do?
What's he gonna do? Yeah.
For me, Brad is the one that I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you gonna do?
You're a writer. Like
tech stuff. Like,
yeah, I guess
technology.
He's more into tech stuff,
frame rates
in general. Yeah, actually, you're right.
I don't know.
That would fit. I think. Okay, pretty okay.
I don't know what outlets do that really, but like if that's something he'd like, because that would be like the angle he'd always bring on stuff. It's like, I don't really care about that. Like, oh no, it doesn't run at solid 60. Blah blah blah. It's like,
oh no, that's
okay.
That's actually
like, is it good? I guess, but I grew up with an N64 and bloody eyes from looking at it, so I don't have the like.
Yeah, you have the bloody eyes. Yeah. The reason it's important for me, and we'll talk about this in Resident Evil in a moment. If things don't have a specific way they're presented, they make me sick, and I can't keep playing them.
Yeah. Yeah, that has been an issue with a handful of games over the years, including some adjacent properties to this, I guess.
I never knew what the problem was growing up, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have this my whole life.
This game?
Some games I would be totally fine. Some games I would actually almost puke after I'm done playing it. I never knew, and now I know like what my triggers are in it, so when I hear something doesn't have an FOV slider, I'm actually like, oh, maybe I won't buy it then. Because
like, you got to put that in.
Because I'm gonna puke.
I physically can't. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll just like bookend the giant bomb thing of just like, those dudes still exist. I'm still gonna keep tabs on my favorites, and I love going back to the old content. There's stuff that like I'm like, so should I start digitally hoarding my favorite podcast episodes now? Like, are they gonna shut this off or something?
Like the whole Alex Holoka Infinite Ammo thing where.
Like just hoard up my favorite era, because like I'm honestly actively listening to like 2010 Bombcasts right now. Like I was doing that before this got announced, because it's just like favorite year of games, just want to go back and think about them again. So like God of War 3 takes and all this stuff is what I'm listening to when I'm driving and whatever.
Man.
So it's like, will that go away? Should I just keep this download? Like, should I put all this on a drive somewhere just in case? Like, I don't want this to fade, because they've maintained their podcast archive this whole time. But whereas Hotspot sort of disappeared, and I'm glad I have any of those, like the old ones.
Yeah.
So
there's a bunch of those saved on the on YouTube though. You can actually still find those pretty easily. You can also just find like compilation sites where they just like do clips that like the best of, and that's okay, but it's not the same. Really?
Sometimes you're like, no, this is literally what I was listening to when I was playing Counter-Strike Source, like, 15 years ago, and I want to just relive the magic or whatever.
I find it
like getting nostalgic about old shows.
So I didn't know actually until like a year ago who hosted the Bombcast, because the last time I listened to the Giant Bombcast, it was, hey everybody, it's Tuesday. Like it was Ryan Davis every time, and I stopped listening when he died. So, like, I didn't actually know who took the reins of it. I didn't know Brad did, for instance.
Yeah.
So that's
Brad was
weird.
hosting. Bit, yeah. It's just like...
Because I thought for sure Jeff would. But...
As the more energetic of...
As the person who's been hosting since he's been, like, 15. Like,
Nope.
Just the dude who's been doing
He's the energetic supporting player, I guess. Yeah. It was... Maybe just the note-taking and the organizing of the show fit the...
Oh, that's definitely a Brad thing. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Coming in with the notebook kind of thing. I could see that.
I could too.
But
sure.
Anyway, yeah, that's that era of podcast. Definitely a big impact on like starting to want to podcast back in 2010 for me was their show and their way of doing things.
Top Down is still old Bombcast. like
format in a way. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, big impact, and it's kind of big news for my little corner of the internet in a way. But
it's sad in its own way, but like not. I don't know, just a reminder that everything has an end.
So 13 years, I guess, 14 of Giant Bomb being like what it was,
roughly,
and now it's whatever it is now.
Yep.
We'll keep an eye on it. But did they get to cover any Resident Evil 8 before they hung their hat? Or
I don't know. A quick look of that did show up on my timeline weirdly. Well, all Resident Evil everything shows up on my fucking timeline, so because of the people I follow and them like retweeting and liking and stuff like that. So like there's definitely a quick look of it. But I've been playing it, so I don't really want to see it.
Have hot takes impacting your perception of anything,
especially from people like there's specific people I listen to for Resident. Like I will listen to game quote unquote critics or people's opinion on everything. With Resident Evil specifically, there's a group of people who I listen to. Everyone else is fucking dog shit to me. I don't care about their opinion.
Well, yeah, at a point you get to be the master of just like, listen, I'm pretty sure I've played more Resident Evil than this person that's talking to me, so I don't want to deal with their like surface level whatever they're doing. Yeah, I could see that being obnoxious.
That's the series for me that there's.
Or like their measuring stick is just I liked 4 a lot or something,
and
that's
like
what
all of that is fine, but like that's why I don't care about their opinion because I have like you go to a doctor if you have a cold, you go to a specialist if you have a tumor, right? Like,
and you have the Resident Evil tumor.
I have the Resident Evil tumor. Yeah, it's pretty malignant. But I started chemo this week with Resident Evil 8, a few hours every day. Because that game makes me physically ill. It has an FOV of 81 that is unchangeable. However, there has been a consumer hack that has been put out for it, a mod, and that helped that I was able to play easily. I was able to bump it up to 95, and that felt good. You can go all the way up to 150 if you are a madman, because then it's unwatchable. But if you go anywhere between 90 and 110, it looks pretty good.
So this is first person then, and
it is first person.
Is it like a view Bob nausea or something, or what's the problem with the narrow field of view? It's kind of a disorientation.
It's the way you move. Yeah, it gets a little disorienting because it's kind of like looking. You know how? Oh, maybe you don't because you have glasses. Or maybe you do because if you don't wear glasses. If you're a person that doesn't wear glasses that's listening and you ever put them on and everything like looks a little closer than normal or whatever, it's that problem of this looks magnified and I'm moving quickly around in it. Okay. It's that feeling.
There's been a handful of games where I've just been like fighting how it is presented. Like Evil Within was one where it's like, I don't like what how you've framed this at all. Can we change this? And Viscera cleanup detail, which I love the idea of so much, but the longer I played it, the more like I don't even think it's the content. Like it's not that I'm cleaning up elf guts or whatever. It's literally just how it looks and feels when I'm moving around. Yep. And like really zeroing in on corners of rooms and stuff. It was just like, this is bad. I have to stop playing. I can't.
We played that together actually. That video is still on my YouTube for people that want to.
So over the course of that session, it's just like, I think I need to stop playing.
It's too bad
which is too bad because I love cleaning stuff.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was a janitor, Willy's Wonderland style. I could just play a video game of it, but I can't because it makes me sick.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for sure.
But hopefully they put an official patch out. And have they done that in the past? Or
I don't know.
7 adjustable?
I don't know if they will for this, but the fact that like I guess this was done already from the demos, the PC demo, because this mod, it's called Lazy FOV. You just run it like after you start up Resident Evil, you just run it in like the background or whatever, and it just works instantly without having to hack anything, which is so nice. I'm guessing they made it like with the demo because it was out apparently day one of this game being out. So
like as soon as the demo came out, some people were like, "Uh-oh, I better get to work on this.
Yeah,
this is bad."
Yeah.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out the mod team or something? Or
I
guess
I don't.
Lazy FOV.
If you look up Lazy FOV at Nexus Mods, it's the one that'll pop up. It works great.
Good thing they did. Yeah.
Also, you can. They added one nice other little thing. You can turn off the vignetting, so there's not like weird dark corners to make like that weird lens effect. So like it just looks like a video game instead of this weird.
Is that undercutting the horror intentions of the developers?
Maybe there is a slider, so you can do less or more vignetting if you want to. So I turned it down to about half of what it was at normally, and it looks way better.
Okay. So they just kind of overdid it a little bit. But yeah, that's weird. But I mean, as someone who modded Skyrim, so I could just pick up everything, like whatever. Like violating decisions you think are bad is fine. Like,
I think
I want to play this,
especially in a single player game. Like it gets
you're not hurting the economy or anything.
It gets bad if it's a multiplayer
personal
game.
Enjoyment.
Then that's actually cheating. But you know,
like if Martin Scorsese can only enjoy Black Narcissus on the British Film Institute screen, like that's fine. You know, he's allowed to do that. But I can watch it on DVD and have a great time.
Or on my phone.
You can watch Black Narcissus on your phone and appreciate Michael Powell.
Because I know, wasn't it Scorsese that said, like, that's not the way you should watch movies?
David Lynch was really mad about it for a while. I think specifically for audio stuff. Like, it's like, what are you doing? But it's like, well, if you got your headphones, he mellowed out about it over time.
David Lynch is just kind of like an asshole anyway, so that's fine.
He's got his cranky hermit way of being. Yeah,
cranky hermit's the way to describe it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's just in his own little art studio in LA, like telling you about the weather. It's fun. But okay, so I guess the technical aspects of it, like what about the game Resident Evil Village? Like what's going on?
So I think I said I'm trying not to like get spoilery on Twitter. But I felt like I'll throw some thoughts out here because I know a couple people know I'm playing it. So the big thing is it feels like a giant disjointed mess story-wise, and that's kind of like neat because so the way it is that the village is kind of like the hub essentially, right? There's a village and shit's going on in it, but it's also kind of like the center point. And then there's a bunch of different roads with like different key locks on it that you can't open yet. And each one goes to like a different area with a different like lord that you have to get a thing from to get to the end. So each one of those is like a different horror vignette. And it's fucking weird and doesn't make sense as a Resident Evil game. But as a horror fan, it's fucking awesome. So
it's just like go down Werewolf Lane and then go.
Well, the Werewolf Lane is like the village. That's like the main.
Oh, okay.
The werewolves are kind of everywhere in this area, but like down one area is like weird vampire ladies in like an old like Romanian castle. Down another area is a creepy cabin in a waterfall with a puppet master, puppets, and this weird escape room house.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Another one is just like a mine shaft with a weird mutant fish person.
Okay.
So you see where I'm going, where it's like... And another one is a factory with a dude who, like Magneto, can control metal with his mind. And a bunch of like zombies that have been retrofitted with like machine parts to be essentially like killing floor monsters.
Like weird body horror Tetsuo Iron Man world or something?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay.
This is what I mean. It's fucking...
That's a weirder pull than some of... Although I love the little dolls thing, the puppet thing. That's great.
Yeah.
But, okay.
It's so fucking just weird.
Different, like, avenues of horror lore, like, down literal avenues off of this town hub full of werewolves.
And, like, this isn't even much of a spoiler because it's, like, one of the first things you do. There are literal, like... kind of on-rail parts where you just have to run because, like, your weapons are gone or taken away from you. And it's essentially just like a haunted house ride where things are like reaching out at you from things as you're running or like chasing you, and like you look to the right and there's like horrific shit happening to in your peripheries and stuff like that.
Is there any indication like this is not happening? Like this is like, you know, Animus style, like Umbrella Research something, and you're not even here, like the movies ended up doing. With
so
some
I
stuff,
haven't
where
finished
you're, like,
the
in
game.
A simulator.
I don't know.
Because this all sounds so outlandish. I mean, super outlandish stuff is in Resident Evil canon.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you got Wesker with his giant mutated arms in a volcano and whatever.
I will say there are points where it's just like, oh, right, this is Resident Evil. I forgot that while I was fighting this thing that looks completely, like, weird and horrific, that it might transform into a Resident Evil monster.
Like, it looks like just a normal horror monster, but now it's a Resident Evil
with, like, a very clear spot to shoot.
Okay. Like a big eyeball or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the biggest thing that reminds you that this is Resident Evil is that this is Resident Evil 4. But it's first person, right? Yeah, but it's Resident Evil 4. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of the assets in this game will be used for a Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh, you mean just like the aesthetic of the village and stuff, and like the burlap sack man and all the stuff from 4 is kind of the tone.
There is a giant fish that
style.
Looks kind of like Del Lago. Like, there's shit like that.
Okay.
It's Resident Evil 4. But
is the action focused like Resident Evil 4?
No, it is.
Okay.
There is parts that are like that, but never as bad as 4. Like where you are stuck in a room for 20 minutes shooting.
Or like dudes are throwing fiery bottles at you, and it's like, this is an action game.
There's a part where you're being shot at with fire arrows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's that stuff. There's treasure. There's buying upgrades for your weapons from the merchant and selling treasures. There's combining treasures to make. Is
the merchant our favorite merchant, or no?
The merchant is called the Duke.
Okay.
He's just a giant fat man that, like, lives, or not lives, but, like, is in different places around the world when you meet up with him. And he doesn't do the merchant thing, really. Like, he talks to you, but, like, he definitely knows more than he's letting on. And I think he's more part of the story than the merchant was in Resident Evil 4.
Okay. Yeah, that would be kind of a neat thing.
He does have a line where he's like, "What are you buying?" Something a friend of mine used to say as you're, like, shopping.
Sure.
So
yeah,
good.
Okay.
It's so fucking good.
Basically expecting that. Yeah, okay. I don't know what, like typewriter ribbons, little
typewriter
shooting galleries,
no ribbons,
or anything?
No ribbons.
Okay. Okay.
So I pre-bought it with the digital deluxe version, so I have the option to change those typewriters into Resident Evil 7 like tapes if I wanted to, but I don't know why you would ever do that.
Maybe that's your entry point and you just thought that was cool. Like, I don't know.
Maybe. It does have like a thing at the beginning of like, do you want a recap of what happened in Resident Evil 7? So if you haven't played Resident Evil 7, or it's been years, because it's been 4 years since that game came out. It'll give you a quick recap of everything. I found it funny that even they know that their Chris Redfield model in that game sucks, because when they get to the part in that recap where they're like, Chris Redfield and his team came and blah, 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 they had him still wearing his mask, like, before the part he takes it off, and they don't show what he looked like in the recap, because his new model looks like the Chris we know.
So they just don't worry about how bad it was. Yeah. Okay. Weird.
Yeah.
Editing. Yeah. Creative license. I don't know. But yeah. Do you think this, like, from your perspective, I mean, as a fan, it's hard to say, but, like, does this have the mainstream, like, blow up potential of a 4 for people, or is it too horror and nuanced or something? Oh, but it's okay.
When I went into this, I heard people say, actually, the creators have said that they made it less scary than Resident Evil 7 because of the feedback they got from Resident Evil 7. I was expecting that means, this isn't going to be very scary. It actually turned out that I forgot how scary Resident Evil 7 was the first time, before you know where every, like, trigger point for scenes and shit is, because that game was fucking rough. I remember the first time through. This game is definitely less scary. There are parts that are fucking terrifying still, so...
Like, just intensity of an encounter, or, like, something jumps out and it's, like,
both.
Totally off guard kind of stuff? Okay.
Like the doll maker house is literally I'm not gonna spoil too much about this, I guess, but they take away all your weapons and it is escape house now. Like it's not a fighting part anymore. It is a horror game.
Yeah. Dude, okay. I mean, neat, love, that's an avenue I haven't really seen in a horror video game, is the scary dolls genre. It's in all over movies and stuff. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
But I can't really think of a great example of it in interactive space. So that's actually a really neat notion. So, okay. Intriguing. But field of view stuff, you got to watch out. I'm assuming the consoles don't have any way to solve that at all. So watch out there too.
True.
But yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I never had problems on the Resident Evil 7 console, because that's one where I actually double dipped. Because the PS4 version came out a week before. It came out Tuesday, whereas the PC version came out Friday of that week, and I just needed to jump in.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling okay playing that. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm so close to my monitor, as opposed to on the couch away from the TV. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I can't do it on PC if it's not. Usually I've gotten away with 85 before, so I thought this being locked at 81 would be okay. And honestly, it kind of was for a while, but then after 3 hours, I started feeling it. I felt dizzy. It wasn't a huge headache, but it was there, and I was I gotta put it down.
Okay. I guess I find it a bit weird that they don't seem to be doing VR with this at all.
It is
that
weird.
Was such a focus of 7, and it's that could still be a cool thing, but I guess if
I'm sure it'll be hacked in.
Sailed.
Also,
sure.
They technically didn't do it with VR originally. They did it for PlayStation. I'm guessing PlayStation didn't give them money to exclusively do it. This one, so then they just didn't.
No one incentivized them to do it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they're like, why would I guess.
It's well, because it's neat, but okay.
But also, you need PSVR for even Resident Evil 7, so...
I know, which I didn't know when I gleefully bought it and installed it and was ready to go. So it's just been a weird half step thing with that, which is too bad. On the total other end of the video game tension spectrum, my primary video game activity the past few days has been listening to trip hop and doing Sudoku puzzles.
I love Sudoku
too.
Sudoku is one of my favorite. So I like Picross. I like number puzzles. Sudoku, I think, gets a weirdly bad rap. People don't talk about it very often, but
it seems like an old person activity in a way, but I'm so great. Okay with that right now.
They're great.
I'm just just sitting with these puzzles and then put on some music and just have a beverage or something and just have a great time for as long as you can ride that wave.
I used to do them at
really
work
relaxing
all the time because it would. I mean, as you know, that job can be a lot of downtime, and it feels like your brain is melting because you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the way I used to combat it, was I need to focus and think about something, and this is a perfect way to do that.
And you can even be well, it's kind of keeping me sharp,
Yeah.
I got to do some numbers as part of my job too, and this keeps me in the number space.
And you got to pay attention to details and stuff like that. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So, really enjoying the Sudoku. I'm up into the intermediate puzzles now and definitely running into a little bit of more challenge. But,
sure. Yeah.
It's been still pretty chilled out. Some of the music that stood out was Boards of Canada. Finally listened to a little bit of that.
Yep.
Cold Cut, I guess, who had a track on the Rez soundtrack. I was kind of one of his songs really jumped out, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I was just listening to Rez music while I was playing for a while.
Okay.
Some Massive Attack was sneaking in there. I think it was a better way to encounter it than just sitting down with a Massive Attack album a couple months ago, because I was like, oh, apparently they're amazing.
I love Massive Attack. Specifically Mezzanine.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the one with the beetle on the cover? Okay. Yeah, some of that was sneaking into this playlist, and I was enjoying it. And then, more contemporary, I guess, is, Ghostly International Records, Tobacco is this artist that I've been enjoying. He featured Trent Reznor on a recent song.
I've been meaning to hear that. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, but maybe I should,
just
YouTube
really
it.
Weird, drugged out, kind of chilly thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of like, yeah, mellow but kind of weirdly intense too. It's a fun listen for this specific activity of just chilling out with some puzzles.
Okay.
It's got a good vibe for that. So I think the album's called Hot, Wet, and Sassy, which is a little more ribald than the actual music.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, this is really just like not that, but whatever you want to brand it. So yeah, Tobacco, all caps.
Cool.
But that's newish. That's not new. That's like 2007 video game. But we're going to go further back for Forgotten Treasure.
Okay, can I give you a quick
segment.
Nier update?
Oh, sure, Nier Replicant.
I hit the point, I hit the 5 year later point. Like, I'm not going to spoil any more than that for people listening.
Okay.
That game.
Still enjoying it?
Those side quests are fucking terrible. They're actually bad because they're boring.
Which ones?
All of them.
Like getting swords and stuff? Okay.
No, getting the weapons and stuff is neat, and like the stories. I'm just talking about the like, I have a message for somebody. Send it. Go there.
Oh.
You go there. Tell them no. I go back. Okay. And then like sometimes you don't even get anything from them. Like, fuck you. Usually you get money, but like sometimes you get nothing, and it's terrible.
Yeah, a lot of the little villager texts and stuff. Like, I for some reason was just in the same space as like, well, I'm traveling to these towns anyway, so like might as well talk to everybody.
No, see,
like I wasn't mad at it.
My
my
headspace is I need this number to be to 100 so I feel better, but I just actually want the story. I don't want any of this.
I was achievement farming a bit in that game too, so I was definitely like forced down some of these paths. I think I found some of the text like funny and like interesting, but they improved that aspect in Automata. Like, there's better side quests in Automata.
The fishing's better
sure.
in Automata as well. The fishing is kind of bad because
it's pretty simple. Yeah,
the RNG is kind of bad, and like sometimes just reeling in that fish takes way longer than it should. Just straight up.
I think there's like one or two funny fishing bits with just like, you can fish here, like just dumb stuff, but like, sure. I don't know. It's I still love that he keeps putting fishing mini games in his stuff, but yeah, they improved that too as it goes on. Oh, at least I like that you have that little chair in Automata and you can kind of just chill around wherever to fish. There's like a good thing with that. But yeah. But okay. So, you know, Nier is kind of a forgotten treasure from 2010.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at some potential other ones from the magazine searching. One of these I actually played, like, I think all of it, and I'm wondering if you remember this game, Breakdown for the Xbox. It was a Namco first-person action adventure.
Why does that sound familiar?
It was kind of, like, really leaning on, like, dude, you can, like, see your guy. And, like, you know, you're in the sci-fi kind of Half-Life type adventure.
I never did play this.
Okay. It was kind of novel at the time because, like, I remember kind of that Riddick era where it was, like, really neat to, like, see your dude.
Sure.
And, like, punch guys in first person was, like, really, you just hadn't really seen that done well.
Sure.
So it was doing that. And yeah, just kind of a dumb sci-fi action adventure game. I played it at a friend's house, and I think they just didn't enjoy playing it, so they kind of just watched me play it because I was enjoying it.
Oh, okay.
The shooting is like bad. It's like a Japanese shooter, so it has like lock on. Like, it's not focused on that. It's about punching. So yeah, but okay. It was an Xbox exclusive. It's kind of lost to time, but Alex Navarro of the day gave it a 7.6 on GameSpot.
Okay.
And yeah. It was kind of just like, wished it had more like departures from like weird fantasy sequences and stuff and immersive first person like cutscenes and stuff. It did some of those, but not enough. And then the combat was kind of bad, was the verdict on that.
Sure.
But yeah. This is one I just thought had a cool name, and then it was like, oh yeah, the PSP. Bounty Hounds.
Okay.
Do you remember?
No, I don't know that
Bounty
one at
Hounds? Yeah. Greg Mueller reviewed this for GameSpot, gave it a 6.9. It's apparently kind of a Dynasty Warriors type game where you're just cool robots and you're fighting a bunch of aliens, and it kind of looks cool, like graphically and whatnot for the system. The big problem was the camera, because you got one stick on that PSP, so you can't really keep the camera behind you, so you're kind of mashing the L button to keep the camera behind you, which really sucks.
Weird. Huh.
Yeah. But overall, it was supposed to be kind of a fun slashy thing with like cool robots, which sounds okay. But I never checked that out. Did you have a PSP like
No.
right away?
Never.
Oh, okay.
I've never had a PSP.
You've never had one?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about action adventure games on there. It's really Work Time Fun was the one that I kept in my heart from that era.
Sure.
But or like Pursuit Force was okay. That was a kind of weird jumping on cars and carjacking thing that came out. But there's like a small handful of PSP games that like mattered, and then the rest was just novelty of like, look, it's kind of like a PlayStation, but it's in your pocket. You can play Prince of Persia or something, but why would you?
Yeah.
Like, you know. But maybe that Daxter game's okay. I don't know. There's stuff I still keep around as like maybe I'll go back and look at a PSP again. Sticking with the robot theme, this is one that actually like comes up sometimes. I feel like maybe less so recently. It's just in my brain forever. Metal Arms Glitch in the System.
Yeah. Okay. That's one I know.
Did you ever check it out or?
No, it never looked interesting to me. Was it good?
That's the thing. Like I kind of always heard it was pretty good. Like it would get like 7s and 8s and stuff. It got an 8.3 from Brad Shoemaker back in the day. Apparently it was just a cool third person shooter. Like It actually had like pretty fun like combat mechanics for 2003 and like a decent little story. And I don't hate robots like as a theme. Like we're big Binary Domain fans over here.
The best game ever made.
Yeah, and like I'm enjoying this ReCore shooting robots, and Mega Man's a robot, and I don't know, like it just seems like maybe this is actually pretty cool.
Binary Domain doesn't get the respect it deserves, okay? Listen, I know it's not a great game, but if you want a third-person action game with just like the stupidest sci-fi story, you kind of can't do better.
And I like shooting robots for some reason. Like it's just they pop apart crazy. Like they get to go for it a little bit. And this is teen, I guess, this game, I think. But like similar glitch in the system, you're like blasting apart your enemies because that doesn't get you an M rating. So it's got like kind of an edge to it that you can't do if you're going with like flesh and blood enemies. So I don't know. Robots just conceptually.
Also Big Bow.
Big Bow, the voice commands I tried to use on the PS3. I was yelling into my Bluetooth headset.
Those were unusable. They were bad. That was bad. But
I really wanted it to work because I was like, I just want to talk to this game and have the game respond. And
I never got it to work, really.
Yeah. No, I played through that whole thing, though. That's the Yakuza people, right? Like, it was a spin-off project?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
No, Binary Domain, like, just, yeah, sure, an excuse to call out other robot greatness. I even played through, like, bad Terminator games because I'm just like, yeah, I just like the robot theme. Like, I'll play a bad Terminator game. Like Dawn of Fate or whatever on PS2. So Glitch in the System has always been kind of like maybe I'll check that out kind of game. So I just want to mention it again, and maybe that'll actually motivate me to go grab it for real. I don't know if I should get the Xbox version, though, or the GameCube version, because like I actually have a GameCube out and around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like technically, like, it's slightly better resolution or whatever, but like I don't know if I care, anymore, because it's all going to look old and bad in a way. So maybe just convenience and favorite platform will rule the day there. But yeah. And then moving over to the PS2, there's 2 titles here from the same developer that I was just like, oh yeah, like these were I played like demos of both of these from PlayStation Magazine and like had good impressions of both, but I just never bought the actual games. War of the Monsters. Which, do you remember War of the Monsters?
No.
It's kind of...
I'll quickly look up.
Well, let's say it's like Rampage, but like a big 3D open space where you're playing like a King Kong or a Godzilla kind of creature.
Oh, okay. Was this multiplayer?
Unfortunately, it only had 2-player support, which was like the big knock against it.
Oh.
Because like it's like, no, it's really fun, like you versus a friend, but like why doesn't this have 4-player? Why doesn't this have online?
I never played this this version of what you're talking about. I have definitely played a big like kaiju fighting game against people, but I don't remember on what. I kind of don't like these games like Rampage and shit like that. So
okay, like movie wise, I love this concept. I'm a big Godzilla fan. And I did get Destroy All Monsters Melee on the GameCube, and that's just like not a very good video game.
Oh,
It has all the licensed monsters you want, but it's just not a very good game. So it's like, so I was kind of like judgy about this game because it's like, oh, they don't have the license, like it's not really King Kong, blah. But it's like, yeah, but if it plays well, then it's better. You should probably get this, but I never did. But I did enjoy the demo at the time. Greg Kasavin reviewed it, gave it a 7.4. I guess his issue with it was like, why doesn't this have more multiplayer support? Because it would really benefit from it. And then it sounds like some of the monsters, like you can kind of stun lock characters, like get really knocked down a lot, and you're mashing buttons to like stand back up, and it gets frustrating. So like some of the nitty gritty of how the combat plays is a little frustrating, but it's overall a good idea, and kind of wish it got more attention or like got to develop further. This is Incognito Entertainment, the Twisted Metal people.
Yeah.
So yeah, their other game that like I also remember fondly. I'm like, I'm probably gonna get this because I do remember the demo really fondly. It was Downhill Domination. It was this bike racing game.
Yes.
Does that ring a bell?
That rings a bell. I never played it though, because again, I don't care about like bike games. Like all these like forgotten treasure games is like, I've heard this title, and then when I look it up, I'm like, oh, I remember. I skipped this because I don't like that type of game. So like, I didn't care.
I haven't played a lot of bike games though, so I'm just like, well, maybe this is just a unique thing. Honestly, my hope was maybe this will like. I know everyone kind of wants more Road Rash or whatever. This kind of has that like battling on bikes thing going on, and I remember it being very fast. Like very fast paced for the time.
Sure.
And you're kicking dudes off like mountain bikes and stuff as you're careening down mountains. And yeah, like Ryan Davis reviewed it, gave it a 7.5. I think the issue was it kind of just doesn't have a lot of like personality, like compared to their other stuff. Like it's just kind of dudes with licensed bike gear is like the core of it. And the music is just a hodgepodge of random stuff. Like it doesn't really have a cohesive like identity on that front either, so that kind of brought it down a little bit, but sense of speed and like the gameplay sounded like pretty fun. So, and I remember that demo being like, oh, that was neat, and then just like moved on, and then the years went by and I forgot about it. But then I saw it again and it was like, oh yeah, that bike game. And there hasn't really been many bike games like, you know, of this manner that I can think of. So Incognito, and now they're defunct. Like I was like, what else happened? And it's like Warhawk, and then that was it. Like they did Calling All Cars and Warhawk.
Yeah, I didn't like Calling All Cars. Warhawk I thought was kind of neat, but like it's not something I rented it and I felt okay with it.
And it was very like online focused for 2007 PS3, right?
Well, that's the thing, is that I really like, I've been into the online idea since the PS2 and their weird like phone line. Yeah, like SOCOM was one of my favorite games, and Resident Evil, I guess they called it Resident Evil Online, but Outbreak and Outbreak File 2 were like fucking 20 years ahead of their fucking game, which is why it failed, because nobody...
Right, it's like nobody's investing in this. Like so few people are here for this.
But like
those that are live in the future.
I was so into it. I was playing video games with people in different parts of the world and like talking with them and like playing a shooter with them and stuff. It was dope on my console. Like, yeah.
Cable Guy predicted this would happen.
Well, because like, yeah, of course I could play Quake, and that's where Happy Gilmore came from. Like I played Quake a bunch growing up, or like the original Counters. Like it wasn't new playing with people, but on console, that's fucking crazy.
Still felt magic, yeah.
Yeah. But that's how I had Final Fantasy IX. I had Final Fantasy IX online, and I remember it took there was a patch or something I had to do, and I left it running online all night to like...
What did 9 do online? Like
it was the first... no, not 9, sorry. 11. 11.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
I don't know why I said...
Vivi in them? Like, what?
No, sorry. I forgot. Or my brain broke.
11 was a big PS2 moment also, yeah.
And I remember just like leaving it up all night while I slept so it could like get itself ready and all that stuff. And then I hated that game. Jumping in and being like, yeah, and then it's like, oh, this is bad.
Like, my big PS2 online thing was Metal Gear Solid 3. Mm-hmm. Like, I did play it for a bit, but eventually it's just like, all right. And then I picked up SOCOM 3, and it had, like, the credit card thing. I was like, what? I thought this was free. I can't do that. So I really just, like, put a lot of, like, weird networking stuff up for this, then didn't really get a lot of use out of it for the PS2. Yeah. But again, I was trying to be ahead of everything in a way, and it was still neat. But unfortunately, these games that I'm talking about didn't take advantage of any of that anyway. So they would have benefited to have some multiplayer. But oh well, that's what happened to Incognito. But yeah. So those are the treasures. Honestly, Metal Arms and Downhill Domination are like number one on my like curiosity list.
I would check out Metal Arms. I do remember that title and just never kind of getting around to it, but I would check that out.
Yeah. I like shooting stuff. Let's pivot over to Predator, the creature and film franchise.
Not Jared Fogle or whatever his name is.
No, like just less dangerous skinning aliens from outer space.
Yeah, okay.
That murder people. How do you feel about Predator 2?
Okay.
Because that's the movie we talked about this week on OK Video.
So Predator 2 is actually one of those movies that when I remember it in my head, I remember only the good parts, but it's actually kind of long, drawn out, and boring.
Yeah, that was basically my experience. Yeah. My friend Ryan has like a very positive, I think it was his first Predator anything. So it was like, what a cool idea. And it's like,
oh, okay.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was a cool idea seeing kind of like the ship at the end and like kind of getting a little more insight.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the world of the comic books and like the video games and stuff starts at Predator 2. Like it kicks open a lot of doors in its universe or whatever and like puts some stuff there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual like flow of the movie is so weird.
It's pretty
like
bad.
It's just
it's annoying too because when you hear them talk about it, it makes sense what they were trying to do because it was like Predator is in the jungle, 2 is the urban jungle. And like, and there's nothing more dangerous in the 90s than a gang-riddled New York, or not New York, LA, in the summer. And like, that's where a predator would go to hunt because these are some of the most dangerous people.
The gang wars going on or whatever.
And then
in 97, but it was made in 1990. Yeah.
There's cool things in there, but it feels like they still tried. I don't know what it is. It's just, there's like a weird, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a feeling in the first movie where Arnold is stuck one-on-one against this thing, and there's kind of like a cat and mouse game, but you never really know who the predator is because Arnold is also a dude who can like handle himself.
Like an elite mercenary. Yeah. And the final battle has like, I don't know. This is a real like showdown.
There's the showdown moment. That never happens in Predator 2 because the showdown moment is with a cop who first of all, I kind of can't take him seriously because I know him as Lethal Weapon as a
I'm too old for this.
Yeah. So like and it's kind of the same role really, but like just a little bit different.
I wish they leaned harder into it being like Lethal Weapon. Yeah. Like my wish for this movie was it's like what if it was a Lethal Weapon movie that gets interrupted by a predator? Like kind of how like the first movie's like this is like a Rambo or a Commando or something, and then whoops, alien, and you're like, whoa, just got flipped over. Like, but they didn't really like explore that being the thing because it's the first sequel. Yeah. Like there's no rules yet, so they kind of are just fuzzing around.
Yeah.
And then I guess we kind of take a longer look at like the other Predator films that happened, and like, do you have positive feelings for any of the other sequels or follow-ups? Or okay,
I like Alien vs. Predator because I am one of those people that loves fan service, and I like aliens, I like predators, so it makes sense to put them together, kind of like Freddy and Jason.
And 2 sets that up with like the skull on the wall thing. Like they basically tease that in 1990. So yeah.
And like it's a playground thing. Like we would always talk about who would win, Freddy or Jason, who would win. Like these are movies that were spawned from our generations, like having to compare everything. So like I always have like a fondness for them, and I know they're bad is the thing, and I don't care because they're there to serve my childhood fantasy of seeing these two things attack each other for a little bit, like fucking action figures or something. And like,
or like a kaiju showdown or something, like just some monsters fighting.
I have opinions about Kong vs. Godzilla, so we could talk about that another time. But
like the new ones,
the new one, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like I'm pretty positive. This is a weird sentence. I'm pretty positive on Predators, just in general.
Yeah. Predators are pretty good. Kevin Peter Hall, the weird mouth. They really lean into the cursing in 2 in a dumb way.
Yeah.
I didn't even bring it up in our episode. I just kind of forgot. But like that was one of those tropes in like things they goof with in the first one is like the Predator recording people saying fuck and then like saying it later.
Yeah.
And then in this one, there's just like a full shot of like a Predator's face saying like, oh fuck. It's like, what? Why? Like with no vocal anything. It's just a Predator cursing. And it's like, I guess that's funny. Like I don't know. Yeah. 1990.
I don't hate the
Gary Busey,
I don't hate that movie.
Bill Paxton.
It's just that it was, and I think any movie would have probably had this problem. It was such a lackluster follow-up to like one of my favorite like movies growing up.
Yeah, so. Yeah. The kind of we talk about kind of like the circumstances of watching it for me was so different. For like the first movie was like, dude, you gotta check this movie out.
Yeah.
Like there was like expectation.
Totally.
So 2 could only ever disappoint in my situation. But we get into it in this week's episode of OK Video over on the podcast world, which I finally figured out something with our feed too. Like it was eating episodes, like it was deleting old episodes.
Oh, because like, you had it set to only show the most recent whatever amount.
Something. Yeah, I had to like tweak how the address was displaying, and then it's like, oh, suddenly all of our archive is back on Spotify and Google Podcasts. So
good.
You can listen to our really awkward old episodes again. We cover some good movies though, so there's still some good stuff to be had in our early seasons, but I think we've gotten better.
Okay.
But that's that reflection on what's going on that end of the movie world. But yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that,
I have something we should talk about.
Okay.
Do you know the Calgary deep dish pizza scandal?
No.
Okay.
I guess.
This is a little bit old. I actually have it in
Is this like the Chicago deep dish chain?
Do you know this?
Okay.
What this is?
Well, no. I know there's a location near me, but I don't know how affiliated they are with the real stuff.
Okay.
But
so
yeah.
In the early 2000s, I should say there's a place here that is called Chicago Deep Dish, and their old advertisement used to say deep dish, like, or whatever.
Yeah.
And like there would be flyers for this shit everywhere. It'd be in the newspaper back in like the 90s because they opened up in 87 originally. They changed their branding to just be Chicago Deep Dish. There are a couple of locations. It is a family-run business. It is not a franchise. So now what you need to know about what's been happening in Calgary since the early 2000s is there are flyers for a fake deep dish that uses a similar advertising structure to how they used to with a different phone number. Now, you get one of these flyers, say, on your car or something, or in your newspapers or whatever. You look at it, you're like, hey, I saw that place. I want some deep dish pizza. You call the number on there. You're actually calling an unmarked, unnamed kitchen that makes lower quality pizzas. And they ask you, do you want delivery or pickup? If you get delivery, they make you your pizza, they send it to you, they collect the money or whatever using this other company's name and like all their stuff or whatever.
Right.
This is where it gets weird. If you say it's for pickup, they transfer you to the actual company because you're going to be going to their building to pick it up.
So the ruse is up.
Yeah.
On that.
They transfer it to you as if like you're calling like a headquarters, and they're like, okay, one moment, please. And then they like send you to like the thing.
So they are sending business to the cool one?
Well,
sort of?
No, they're just like, so they're making sure that you can't find out that it's a scandal.
Oh, okay. So it's still lame, but yeah, that's weird that they're at least not just like hanging up or something. Or it's just like, oh crap, we need to rent like a boiler room somewhere that just hands out pizzas.
Yeah.
You know, and drive the pizza there.
It's
so you're ready for pickup.
It is so weird. And the weird part...
Who's on Skip the Dishes? Because, like, in the past couple of years, I've definitely still been ordering, like, from Chicago Deep Dish and being pretty happy with what I'm getting. But am I getting real stuff?
So if it's called Chicago Deep Dish and the phone number is 5313131 specifically, that's the right one. If it's just, like, a yellow sign with red lettering or whatever, pretty standard, that's the right one. If any of them have the deep dish, and like all the way down, I think the number is like 2020 or 4040, something like that, ending in. Those are the fake ones.
The scamsters.
And there's a bunch of different ones where different kitchens like kind of drop out every now and then, and new ones pop up. So this has been going on for about 20 years.
Of just like weird pirate pizza kitchens. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard this like is happening with like the Skip the Dishes and the Uber Eats and all that. Like there's these kitchens that are kind of like 3 different things or whatever.
That's different. Those are called ghost kitchens, and what they are is anybody can open up a business and just like sell it through here. That's kind of why the like rating system and stuff is important, because those are legit. They're kitchens, and like they're gonna give you food, but they don't have a name to them, so you kind of are gambling on...
Like, there's no restaurant to go sit and do things. It's just a delivery kitchen.
So if you see, like, a name and then it says by Ghost Kitchen or whatever, it's usually what it is people renting out maybe, like, a kitchen that they own for, like, a different business or a side business. One of the big ones is, do you know who Mr. Beast is?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, he's a giant YouTuber that is known for basically just getting a whole lot of ad money and then using that ad money to give it away to people.
Okay.
And that's kind of like how his business propagates. Businesses pay him like $1 million to do something, and then he's like, I sell everything in my new store for $1, and he buys like $1 million worth of like cool products and stuff, and people can like go buy for $1 or like just shit like that. It's like little games almost. So
is it like brand awareness building, so it's still worthwhile for the company?
Brand awareness for him, for sure.
Yeah.
And like,
okay.
And like, he doesn't hide things. It's like, all right, these people are like in trouble or whatever. Maybe they need a like Sony PlayStation, or like, it's not, he doesn't hide it, but it's also not like, in your face the whole time. It's natural.
Okay.
It's
all right. Anyways, all right. It doesn't.
He's known for just basically being a mogul, essentially, and throwing money around for dumb shit. Like,
okay.
I think another one is like, if you can guess how much the house is worth, you own it. Like, just shit like that.
Okay. Yeah. Like 21st century game show
YouTube shit.
Weirdness.
Like, yeah, like weird little YouTube stuff. Anyways, he started like business thing, like a chain called Beast Burgers, and what it essentially is if you own a business or have a kitchen or whatever, you just like give them some franchisee money or whatever. They send you all the stuff you need to like make their menu, and you can just like run it wherever, essentially. So it's like if McDonald's was like, okay, we're gonna open up just online, anybody can open one, you just have to give us like an address and stuff like that.
Like really opened up the franchisee model
to like literally anybody that can like,
if you can make something that looks like this, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a Beast Burger.
So that's
okay.
That's like, we have 2 of those here, for instance. And like, it was started in Carolina.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, because it's just it's all through Skip the Dishes.
Right. Okay. I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
I guess, like,
have you had it? Is it okay?
I mean, so here's the thing. They're completely like standard burgers. They're burgers with ketchup and mustard. and like fries with ketchup and mustard and like cheese if you want it. Like really basic shit that you could do.
Standard stuff.
But
okay.
They're operated by ghost kitchens. They're like what they get is the name like Beast Burger or whatever. So like they have name recognition, but they're run by nobodies that get the money. So totally legit stuff, but you're taking your life into your own hands.
Whereas you're saying these pizza people are being like spurious and weird. And
they are literally saying, we are this company, we're not. Give us money. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's been happening for years.
I'll be more careful. Yeah.
Which is the funny part to me. So good.
Local Calgary pizza scandal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I get like this is a bit of a dicey prospect right at the end of the show, but it doesn't need to get too dark, I guess. It's more just about like generally with your parents, do you feel politically you're on the same page at all, or are you just not talking about it?
No, not at all. My parents really hate Trudeau, and that's fine because I don't love Trudeau. I didn't vote for him, but like
I didn't either. I guess, yeah.
They are really against him, and I don't think it's politically. I think my mom just hates his stupid face or something. Like I think she's just said something like that. Like it's very much just a personal thing.
Or is it like old beef from Pierre Elliott? Because like my
maybe.
parents' generation just really doesn't like his dad. Like I don't even know if it has anything to do with him anymore. You know, he flipped off Alberta. Like how could he do that or whatever?
Oh,
like
yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Maybe. The thing is that we don't really like our conservative government here right now because they've been fucking terrible.
I mean, we sort of talked about it last week with like, are we in the dumbest province and everything? Yeah. So just kind of still reeling from that. And like, I don't know. It's just like how to deal with my dad's like small town world that he lives in and like his perspective on stuff.
That's an Alberta
like
thing.
Being in the middle of a big city and it's like, we need a lockdown here. I guess maybe you don't at like the local diner or something, but like, can you not be so politically upset about it over there? Cause like,
is this an internet thing? Like, is he like saying stuff online and it's getting you riled up, or is he talking to you personally?
No, this is an email to me personally, and just like sitting with it and just being like, all right, but can you just not like have a rally? Like, you don't need to, you know, stuff like that. Or the rodeo that happened recently, like he wasn't there, but like that's been going on in the province too, with just like, we're standing up to the man, it's the communists. And it's like, it's not. But, you know, I guess, you know, like small town versus big city kind of stuff and not wanting to be like elitist or anything. It's just like, no, I'm just dealing with a lot of people here and I don't want them to be sick people here in this densely million-person city.
Yeah.
You're in nowhere, so can you just sit down and not do anything out there? Like, why do you need to have any sort of, like, your MLA protest it for the province? Like, it's just kind of, just be quiet. You're in a tiny town. Like, you don't matter. Just understand that, you know?
I have had some problems recently with how, like, annoyed I'm getting from, like, people in our circles and kind of our age in general who keep just saying the stuff like stay at home. It's like, yeah, but the thing is, I need to pay rent. So just because you have a job where you can work from home doesn't mean I do. So maybe shut the fuck up. Like, Jesus.
I can't. Yeah, I really can't.
Yeah.
Like, that we're not ready
Oh, no,
for
just
that
stay home.
with.
No, all you have to do is stay home. That's all you have to do. Fucking retard. Shut the fuck up.
It was kind of fun staying home when I had to.
Yeah.
Like, it was a weird week of just like, oh, really? Like, I'm just going to get way into trip hop and Sudoku puzzles. Like, it was a great time.
Right. But the people that are saying this are also, like, making money just, like, sending emails from their home or doing data entry. It's like, I would love to do that if I could. I can't. Shut your fucking whore mouth.
Like,
yeah.
We're we're sort of on the same page of being safe and whatnot, but it's a different circumstance.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I want people to be safe and stay at home if you can is because I can't. So you need to, like, think about me.
Oh, sure. Or, like, even just, like, some of the customers that happen, it's just like, why are you here? This isn't important right now, but I guess you're allowed to do it. All right.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things that, like, without any sort of government pressure, they'll just keep happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
and it's annoying because I wish
that.
people would just fucking stay home, because I don't want the government telling us to have to stay home. I want us to just know, so that we don't have to put in some weird law where I can be pulled over.
Or yeah, like let's friendly it up a little bit. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry, like why don't you enjoy staying at home? Is something wrong? Because like I really enjoy staying at home. So we need to fix your home so that it's more fun to be there.
I don't know. I understand not not wanting to be told what to do, because when people tell me to do something, I immediately want to hit them. Like, I get it.
It's like John Locke and Lost, you know? Like, don't you tell me not to do it. Yeah. It's like, listen.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
I'm sorry.
Or something like that.
Yeah. And it's like, well,
I get that point of it, but, like, you also have to get that, like, there's a bunch of us that have to go out to still be able to make money to survive. And, like, if you can stay home, you need to do it. If you can't, I get it. I get you have to go to work. You do not have to go to a rodeo. Like, those people should have all been, like, executed on site, as far as I'm concerned.
And then there's churches, and then there's, like, even stuff I'm into. Like, today I was kind of looking at...
I'll even give the churches, like, I don't want the government to be able to tell people they can't, like, have faith in something. That's not my place.
Sure. It's like fuzzy with like their numbers of people allowed to gather are like higher for no reason.
No, they should it should be an online church or something, like, for sure.
Yeah, like or there's tons of like precedent in the Bible for just like quietly having your faith in your house and like
don't like most study. Like Buddhists and Muslims just have kind of a shrine and they spend like an hour a week just like doing a thing.
That's like you can have your own personal faith time. You don't need a big singing time all the time. That's not essential. I don't know. Yeah. But whatever. But okay. Sorry, I was about to pivot to something else pertaining to local stuff, but the churches thing really threw me off. Now I'm just thinking about the movie Silence Martin Scorsese made, which is pretty good.
Okay.
But he just quietly kept his faith, man. You could just do that. Be like Samuel. You don't have to be like the Pharisees. But whatever.
Yeah.
Throwing back to Bible times, Bible school. But okay. I lost it. It's fine. But yeah, parents, school, grandparents, vaccines, all of it's still swirling around. But
do you think we're ever going to get, like, there's going to be a point where people gather again. This will be like, every year, did you get
everyone's at a Flames game again or something?
Every year, did you get your flu shot? No. Oh, well, that sucks, but you can't blame it if you get the flu. Like, there is going to be where this is normalized and everything's going to be okay again. But do you think we're ever, like, as a society, going to be okay again? Or, like, do you think with what happened in the States with Trump and
like rifts forming between people,
like, do you think
it's definitely revealed like some like true colors stuff with some people, and like this is the family rift stuff I'm worried about with like my dad and like some of my cousins on Facebook and stuff. It's just kind of like, oh, are you seriously like on that? Why? Like, I don't even know how to talk to you.
I mean,
anymore.
I know you've had like kind of problems with some people in your family, like on Facebook posting stuff and you being like weird about it for a while now, but like, do you think this will change? Is this different than like, I don't even it was before. Religion, I guess.
Yeah, the real like litmus test is going to be like, once it is normal again, what's Thanksgiving going to be like, kind of thing. What's Christmas dinner going to be like with some of these people? Because it's just like, I'm definitely less like okay just quietly nodding now. Yeah. So I might have to get into some chippy conversations again, which I've been trying not to do for some years.
Okay.
But if it gets to it, it might just be like, well, we're all still enjoying this turkey, but no, you're stupid, and here's why. I have a degree or something. Like, I'll just be real elitist and shitty about it. And just like, listen, I live in a big city and I went to school. Shut up. Be a real dick.
Sure.
So, and then just build a little rift. But hey, at least we both still like the same, like, we like the raccoons growing up or something. So we're still,
I hate that show.
Simpatico.
It's funny because Aaron and I were talking about it just like 2 weeks ago. And it's just like, why did people like that show? And we just can't understand it because we both hated it.
I love the song so much. Like the Lisa Lougheed song is amazing. Okay. But yeah, the actual show, I don't remember most of it. That didn't stop me from getting a Cyril Sneer shirt.
I think it started because we were talking about bears. And it's like, shows with cool bears, and then I was like, you know what isn't one? Rupert. Fuck Rupert.
And just went on like bad kid shows that aren't actually good.
No, just kid shows that we grew up with that it was like you would change the channel because it's like I found this boring. Like Babar was another one. Oh no, we started because I was saying I remember Babar was instant melatonin. It would make me fall asleep, like that theme song.
It's just such a like loquacious, like chilled out show about like growing peanuts or whatever.
And the MASH theme song. Both of those, like for some reason, just like put me.
Oh, it's time to fall asleep now.
Yeah, because MASH was after the Simpsons.
Suicide is painless.
Well, there was no singing. It was just like the weird big band version of that song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess with cartoons in mind, I can mention one last thing. It's kind of weird now, but the Calgary Underground Film Festival did their like Cartoons Day.
Okay.
Like their Cartoons morning over the weekend last time.
Yeah.
And there was just some neat, weird junk from the 90s in there, and the 80s. Like the ones I'll call out, I guess, were there was a Hammerman cartoon, like MC Hammer going around solving problems.
Okay.
It was real something. Like it was from that time. I was like, oh, kids, you shouldn't do graffiti. I mean, street art's important and everything, but you got to do it right. You can't just be tagging stuff. And it's like, okay, weird kind of mixed message lesson, but whatever. I got to see some old Speed Racer, which I hadn't really seen, and was kind of happy with. That was kind of a cool old show from the 60s. And then this weird show from Film Nation, Brave Star, was a real standout. Like it's like this Native American hero, like kind of cowboy sheriff guy. And this was totally like a 1980s like war on drugs era episode. It's about like, yo, don't get into heroin essentially, but for like kids.
Okay.
And it is like hard edge for that time. Like the main like teen, like 12-year-old, 13-year-old like character straight up ODs and dies in this episode. And his like friend is just like, why didn't I tell anyone before it was too late? And it's just like, this is heavy stuff. And it's got like this crazy like heavy metal art style. Like, it was a gnarly show. It was really something. Brave Star with 2 R's. Like, there was, like, something like 70 episodes of this thing. And it just looked nuts. Like, it was just, wow, they don't do that way anymore. And then I think this was their last show as a studio before they, like, folded.
Man.
But it was a wild show, yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? Like, I don't know if I'm sure we've talked about these. Do you remember the, Concerned Children's Advertisers TV spots? So
like PSA, there were some of those featured on like another thing before this with just like, you know, don't put it in your mouth and all these classics. And like this weird drugged out puppet.
It's weird because it wasn't until the internet became like a thing and people were like, oh man, look what happened in Canada. It's like, wait, you guys didn't have that? Like that was...
Oh, you didn't see this like every day when you were watching like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah, because they were on all the time. There was
there's those rats and like the rat poison or whatever. It's like, I don't know if I should touch this thing. And it's like, there's cheese right here. It's like, no, I don't know. Something's not right about it. I'm going to go ask an adult. Like just little weird lessons.
Yeah.
Or like syringes everywhere for some reason. It's just like, don't touch that. You should call a parent. And it's like, okay. Like they just let you know.
I remember one of the first ones, you remember it was like a brain, and it was like a bunch of wires, and then somebody was like cutting each wire with like some cutters, and then it just started like smoking and like exploding and stuff, and then it was like think about it while you still can was like the tagline.
Like, see, that's like way good imagery compared to one that's just like they crack an egg and like this is your brain on drugs. And it's like, okay, delicious. Like, what does this mean? Like, that's not a great, powerful image, like short circuiting brain wire bundle or whatever that doesn't function anymore. So I don't know. I like to think we kind of killed it on the PSA game up here.
I do. Well, yes, there was an advertisement that warned you about being gay, though.
Really?
I think so.
Oh, no.
I can't remember specifics about it. I would need to look it up. It was something about like going into the bathroom to like fuck a dude or something. Or, I don't know.
Oh, like some STDs like thing?
I think
or
so.
AIDS
we did
awareness?
that stuff was in the era of like AIDS is everywhere, be careful. I remember like Captain
the 80s
Planet
definitely
had like an episode with a kid with HIV and how you could like share the same fountain, you're not going to get AIDS from it. Like, it was weird. That was a weird time.
Yeah, there's some heavy stuff from that era of just like coming to terms with that wave of epidemic, really, I guess. And yeah, like Magic Johnson coming forward as having AIDS and like that being this huge conversation starter for a lot of people. And yeah, tons of stuff around that. That was not reflected in this Brave Star cartoon, but there might be an episode that actually gets into that too, because they're not afraid to jump in. So yeah. But yeah, that's the weird cartoon media update, I guess. It was quite a good show. It was like 3 hours of stuff. So just, you get some Scooby-Doo and some random like weird Hanna-Barbera, like some band called The Impossibles had a cartoon for like 10 minutes in the 60s, like just stuff like this.
Okay.
But yeah, fun roundup. Oh, and the Hulk cartoon, it's so weird looking at it. It's just like, it's like an animated comic book.
Yeah.
Like,
is that the one where he jumps to fly? He jumps so like...
He was dealing with the leader and like teleporting to some weird planet with the Watchers and all this stuff. Like it was like a visual novel brought to your TV screen every morning for you or something. It was weird looking back at them, because they're not like badly animated. They're just very simple, Like it's kind of weird, but old Hanna-Barbera cutting corners, but still looking charming. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. But that's mainly what I got. I do have one masterclass shout out.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then, it's been kind of my favorite cooking one in a long time, and I haven't found one as awesome. So I'm just gonna call it out, even though a lot of the recipes aren't like stuff I'm making actively, because it's fish and sushi and whatnot. But it's more of a mentality and technique thing that was really special about it. It's Nikki Nakayama. It was a Japanese course.
Okay.
It got me to buy a new vegetable knife. Like, I'm kind of just thinking more about like making rice more thoughtfully and cleaning it better, and filtered water and stuff. Like, there's just a real like, let's really enjoy making this food kind of mentality about it that was really, really charming. So yeah, that was one that I thought was really great, and I kind of miss that as part of my weekly stuff. I ran out of lessons, but like I left that with like, oh man, I got to buy her cookbook, and she doesn't have one. Like, there's no other Nikki Nakayama stuff out there for me to like get after. So it's too bad, but great lesson on there. So anyone looking to like look into broths and things from Japan, really, really useful stuff in there. So yeah.
Fish oil, right? A lot of oil mixed in with stuff.
A lot of bonito flake like based broths and stuff as like a foundation for stuff. Dashi broth is like really key to a lot of stuff. And then tempura, like frying and stuff, is in there. Like just little things that I'm like, I feel more confident about doing. And I think my like sumo stews have improved a lot since then. I was making really like just, I don't know, this says to put this in it, like just not really thinking about what I want to eat or what I'm doing. Just following recipes really explicitly from online or something. It's like, I don't even like, what is that? Yikama or whatever root. I don't think it's very good. It's very
people
waxy.
Just pronounce it ikama?
Ikama? Yeah. Not a big fan, but it's on this list.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm just going to get a rutabaga because I like those.
Oh, okay.
A turnip.
I don't like those.
I like those.
I don't like those either.
Okay.
But yeah. Well, I could see.
Just put what you want in there and stew that, and then you'll have a better stew because you're eating it. Like just stuff like that, where it's just like, oh, this is great. And yeah, that and then sleeping, I'm monitoring it now with the Fitbit, so keeping an eye on my scores.
Doing any better?
Not a great one last night, but I did score an 85 one time this week.
You did work last night, though, right? Like, working always sets you up with a weird buzz, I feel.
Oh, especially the late shift. Yeah, I went full late into the night, kind of past the circadian window.
Oh.
So, it wasn't a great kickoff for it, but it still got around 7 hours, which is better than I was doing a week ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize you were that, like, I never get less than 8 minimum. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, no, I was at like 4.5, 5, which is not great.
I used to work at 5 a.m. I used to do the morning shift for years until like 3 or something at that place. I also just never slept more than 3 to 4 hours, and it like killed me. I'm still making.
Yeah.
The year that COVID hit, I like made up all the sleep debt. I was sleeping like 12 hours a day because I'm just so fucked.
Okay. That's like, honestly, like that's what like super athletes do, is sleep that amount of time.
It's terrible.
So it's like, no, it's recommendable in a weird way. Yeah. Like I'm trying to get around 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a challenge, but I've been thinking about it more. But that's it for the Pixel Response update from my end. Any last stuff you want to call out or anything? Or
if you can, stay home, because I can't.
Okay, that's the lesson for this week. And I've updated the sign off a little bit here, so I'm just gonna say thanks for sailing with Paul and Nathan on the good ship Pixel Response. See you next time.